Welcome in, everyone, and thank you for listening to the 255th ever episode of the Missouri Sports Podcast, brought to you by 106 Apparel and recording from the MSP studio in beautiful Springfield, Missouri. I'm one of your hosts, Cameron Albert, alongside my good friend and fellow Mizzou fan, Kyle DeVries. How are you doing today, Kyle?
Doing great, Cameron. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well, other than found out that our friend Cameron here hyperextended his knee playing soccer. Producer Cameron, are you on the mic there?
Oh yeah.
How you feeling?
Kyle's playing softball. You still doing softball?
Just finished.
Did your team win the
We
championship?
won. We won the spring and the summer sessions.
Wow.
Is there a third session?
Yes.
Are you participating?
I'm not. I'm about to have a child.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Priorities.
That's okay.
Excellent work there.
Still could have done it, but
Yes. Did you go undefeated? Did you guys lose a game?
we lost 2 games. But they were in. One was in the spring, one in the summer, so we overcame it.
Is it just a regular season standings champion?
Yeah, basically.
Well, congratulations. Producer Cameron, you've been playing soccer
Yeah.
like an insane person.
That is insane.
How old are you?
30.
Playing soccer.
That's irresponsible.
It just about was.
Yeah. Is your knee going to be okay?
Oh, surely.
We have got too many people in our Discord server that have had knee injuries. I'm the only one that it doesn't have any. I'm not the only one. Out of us 3, I'm the only one without a surgically repaired knee. Should I just get that done?
No.
Preemptively.
No.
Just knee replacement before something bad happens.
Yeah, exactly. No, we don't want to do that. Is your team performing well at soccer?
We're fine. We're in like the lowest division, and there's people that should definitely not be in that division, which is unfortunate.
Typical.
We just want to have
Tryhards.
fun, and then when you play tryhards, you also try a little too hard because you can't help it.
You
They're
hurt
smurfing.
yourself. Yeah.
And then you get hurt.
Yeah.
I should be
Gotta
fine.
know your limits.
Yeah. Well, hopefully nothing bad happens.
Well, if I don't play anymore, surely nothing will.
Yep, that's my strategy. Yeah, I just wanted to catch up on everybody's sporting events. What are we going to talk about this week? It's recruiting talk. Missouri is hot on the heels of some really big names, 5-star recruits in football. And so I want to talk about that a little bit, talk about some NIL stuff. Basically just starting to gear up for the beginning of this season. It is right around the corner. Before we get into all that, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, leave us a review wherever you listen to us, and you can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Missouri Sports Pod. Yeah, so basically we've got 2 this week and next week before we really dive into our preview episodes leading up to the first game. I think next week we'll probably be doing like a last season recap where we look at some of the storylines and revisit our expectations for last year and kind of see how that developed leading to now. We'll preview the offensive side of the ball. Then we'll preview the defensive side of the ball. We'll do our annual 7-on-7 draft. And then we'll break down the schedule and give our predictions right before previewing the week 1 game of the season. So it is
right up
upon
to
us. Oh, yeah. How excited at this point are you for this upcoming season compared to previous seasons?
I would say this season I'm probably more excited than I was for last season potentially. I mean, it's like a 10 out of 10 every season, no matter what, really. But I think there's a little bit more intrigue this season than last, and there's reason to be optimistic about a special season. You know, I think last year, I think there were just. It's like, well, we just didn't know. We didn't know what to expect from the defense, and we didn't know who was going to be playing quarterback. We still don't really know, but at least we know, what kind of floor we might have at quarterback. So, but we know the defense, what we expect from them this season, and so I think there's reason to be optimistic on top of that intrigue of who's going to be playing quarterback. So, yeah, I mean, I'm ready to roll, and I mean we're just a little over a month away from finding out so many answers to the questions that we have.
Now, the SEC media as a whole doesn't seem too optimistic about Missouri. So have you seen anybody that, I mean, I feel like I don't even know what happened here because it seems like a month ago, people were kind of hyping up Mizzou a little bit and like, hey, watch out for Eli Drinkwitz's squad over there. They, good defense coming back. And then it seems like since SEC Media Day started, it's like, no, of course they're going to finish 6th and 14th.
Yeah, I think that we saw a few like kind of fringe media outlets or maybe some smaller outlets and stuff doing some dark horse predictions in June and July and stuff. And I think, yeah, you're right. Missouri,
Of course, we saw that stuff.
Missouri popped up exactly for some of those things. But when it comes to the traditional media and the coaches poll and that kind of stuff, like, yeah, it's just kind of same old, man. I mean, it happens pretty much every year where Missouri, you can just pencil Missouri in for that 6th spot in the SEC East for the prediction.
Now, I did see Dave Matter, I think, was basically subtweeting you and was talking about how he was pointing out some of the years that Missouri's been picked not 6th. And so...
And disappointed?
No.
Oh, just in general,
yeah.
that they don't always get picked 6th?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he was trying to tell you that specifically.
Yeah, he probably was. He's subtweeting me. Oh, because I believe I tweeted something like, Missouri gets picked 6th all the time, and then they outperform that like 90% of the time.
Right.
Which is easy to do whenever you're picked second to last. But maybe I cherry picked that one a little bit. But still, though, it is frustrating when, you feel like you have a lot of pieces returning and you don't really get the respect. And but that's okay. That sets up motivation.
The Arkansas media, though, just going at it again. New guy this time, or maybe it was the same guy. I don't know.
I think it's different.
Was saying if he's like going to quit his job if they lose to Missouri this year.
Yeah, we keep getting some gems that just keep trickling out of SEC Media Days, especially from like Arkansas folks who are really saying disparaging things about Missouri. And I understand it's probably just some sour grapes going on whenever you're just getting your butt handed to you every year. But yeah, they just, again, in parentheses, we've got these Arkansas media folks. It just seems to be really bad, especially with Arkansas too, where they have fans that are in media. But anyways, yeah, he said I'm not coming back to radio if Arkansas loses at home to Missouri on Black Friday or whenever they play.
Just such an unnecessary thing to say.
Like, you're going to quit your job if something that's happened 6 of the last 7 years happens.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm not one to sort of like, put myself out there and really like stake my claim on something like that.
Oh, you need to.
But I don't know. It just seems like if it was...
That's a little silly.
Vanderbilt or somebody. I mean, like, I'm just trying to think. There needs to be a more solid distinction between the programs to be saying that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And the fact of the matter is, if there's any distinction at all in the last 10 years or so, it favors Missouri. So,
yeah, very much so. Yeah, I don't know, man. If I'm going to be completely honest, like, Arkansas's got some pieces. KJ Jefferson, Rocket Sanders, they've got some pieces. But
that's a good floor.
Yeah, they have some good players in key positions. But I don't know, man. Like,
they lost their defensive coordinator.
New coordinators.
Lost their offensive coordinator.
We're going on what? Year 4 of Coach Sam the Pigman Pittman?
Pigman Pittman. Heard it here first.
I'm not that impressed by him, man. Like, people love him. Like, he's a likable personality.
Yeah.
If you're a Southern football fan.
Okay.
I can see how he's a really likable guy, maybe.
Yeah.
But just ain't that special.
So it sounds like you're ready to call your shot about this season. Are you wanting to stake this podcast's future on this prediction?
I don't want it to get us in trouble here, but I don't want to make any blood bank guarantees. But I'll just say I think I like Missouri's chances in that game, as I typically do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Been pretty profitable bet.
That's true. All right, let's talk about recruiting a little bit. That's been really popping off on Twitter. There have been some rumblings about Williams Nwaneri, Missouri sort of jumping back into the picture with him. Same with Ryan Wingo, and even Jeremiah McClellan, a 4-star wide receiver that we haven't talked about as much because he kind of gets a little bit overshadowed by the 2 5-stars in state. But I thought
there's really been no reason to link him to Missouri so far either.
That's true. And even at this point, I mean, we could start with him. Missouri is in his top 5, along with Georgia, LSU, Ohio State, and Oregon. And I did track down an On3 article where he kind of gave a little a snapshot of each team in his top 5. And let me see what he said about Missouri is home and they want me really bad. I like the offense and I feel like I could thrive there. I also really feel the love from Coach Drink and Coach Peeler.
There you go. What else do you need?
Yeah.
If you can thrive, they
You can
want
thrive,
you there.
They want you bad. It's home.
What else do you need?
That sells it. There is one other school here that he talked about that I thought was worth mentioning. LSU. He says LSU was my dream school growing up.
Was.
Yeah. Well, he says I love what they do in the SEC, and I love my relationship with Coach Kelly and Coach Peeler. 2 Coach Peelers.
Wow.
Wow.
You playing both sides?
That'd be something. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm just getting like flashbacks to EJ Liddell, his dream school being Ohio State.
Yeah.
It's hard to compete with
A
the
little
dream school
PTSD.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're in some pretty serious competition there for McClellan. I mean, it's LSU, Georgia, Oregon,
Ohio State.
That's a pretty tough top 5 there.
Yeah. And he said when he makes his decision, it would be based on player development. And he wants to know that he fits into the system.
All right, well, let's get Luther Burden going.
Yeah.
Luther Burden has just been like the most important piece of the Missouri's future. Like, obviously, on the field performance, yes.
Yeah.
But just overarching recruiting themes and like demonstrating how Missouri's going to use NIL and showing how they can develop players, assuming he takes the next step this year, and just making him the face of the program like they said they were going to. Like, showing exactly what happens when a 5-star player decides to stay home.
Yeah.
And like everything we fantasize about them, being the face of the program and, them being the person you think of when you think of Missouri football, like that's actually happening.
Building something new. Yeah. Yeah. And to his credit, he's been doing his part admirably. I mean, performed, I think, incredibly well for a true freshman wide receiver in the SEC.
Yep.
And has embraced his role in being the face of the program, even at such a young age. And I
think that's going to be something that reaps benefits for years to come, was Luther Burden choosing Mizzou.
Yeah, and I would even say that there's probably not a coincidence that his success with his NIL endeavors has probably emboldened the staff and the athletic department to be like, oh yeah, this is where we can differentiate. We'll talk about NIL later, but
100%.
So they're pursuing that more than ever. All of that goes hand in hand. So McClellan, Missouri's in the top 5. So a lot of big names there.
4-star wide receiver from CBC. I don't know if we said that.
Yeah. Then might as well stay with wide receivers and talk about Ryan Wingo. He visited Missouri again a couple days ago, also visiting Tennessee and Texas A&M this week. His decision is not going to come until the December signing period. So I'm imagining it already. He's going to be on TV with hats in front of him on signing day. Whatever hat he picks up, he'll be sending his letter of intent later that day.
Yeah, this is not a battle that's going to end anytime soon. And I guess we'll have things to distract us from recruiting battles as actual football is being played throughout the fall. But this is one that's going to continue to be a little bit exhausting all the way to the end of December.
Yeah, I mean, your opinion, where do we stand? I mean, not like we have any inside information, but just sort of seeing how things are going and how his recruitment has progressed. I mean, him being on campus got all the coaches excited. They were tweeting, nothing too specific, but yeah.
Yeah, at this point, just kind of trying to gauge his actions through his visits and what he said in interviews. But what I think maybe is the biggest indicator that things are going well for Missouri in his recruitment is the way the coaching staff is acting on Twitter. And I just don't think that they do some of this stuff if they don't feel like they're in the driver's seat. Like coach is doing like cryptic like W related content on Twitter, like W GIFs and stuff like that, like for Wingo or Nwaneri, and
I think he's just a big Cubs fan.
I think he's just a big Cubs fan. Yeah.
What timing there that he like tweeted the Cubs W like in the middle of them destroying the Cardinals in a
Was it really?
I think they were like
I knew the
in a
Cardinals
series
fans didn't
together.
love that,
Yeah.
but I didn't know they were actually playing each other at the time.
I mean, we're Cardinals fans.
We are. Well,
We're a little bit lapsed,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was amusing.
we're washed up.
In my opinion, that was a little bit amusing seeing the outrage over him accidentally.
How dare you?
Well,
Anyways, I would say I think Missouri's right there in the mix. They're absolutely in the mix. But if I had to say who the leader is right now, I think it really honestly might be Mizzou. And I think it's going to come down to Mizzou in Texas. And, Wingo's family loves Mizzou. They love the idea of him staying home, close to home, and being able to watch him play in person every week. There's a lot going for Missouri. And I honestly think, like we've talked about the last few weeks, NIL is the biggest possible thing that they have to offer to him right now. And getting that money early in February, I don't know. I don't think anybody else can offer that to him right now.
yeah, no, you're exactly right. He is a 5-star player. Obviously, we said that in the 24/7 Sports composite, he's 23rd in the country. On just the top 24/7, he's 7th. So kind of a variety of rankings there, depending on what outlet you look at.
Yeah.
But we'll take a 5-star wide receiver.
He's just such a well-rounded prospect, man. He's just great hands, great size, so fast. Like he's a big wide receiver.
Yeah.
But he's got blazing speed at the same time. Yeah. So the speed really runs in the Wingo family, that's for sure. But he is the best prospect by far from the same family.
I want to give our predictions just based on where things are right now. And I'm going to say McClellan commits to LSU with the Dream School. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this will be. It seems crazy that the 4-star player, it might actually be the hardest one to land of this group, or at least maybe the one. Maybe Missouri has not pursued him as hard as the other two, but I think
he said they really like him.
They said they really like him. They really want him.
Yeah,
they want him bad. Yeah, I think LSU is a good guess. Ohio State. I think those are probably the two biggest threats for Missouri in that recruitment.
Okay, so then Ryan Wingo. At this point, I like him to Mizzou. Texas is in the way, and I don't know. Like, how much can change? What does Missouri have to do between now and December? Or, he's announcing in December. Who knows when he's actually going to be making up his mind?
Right. Yeah, there's so much that can change. And a lot of that is going to maybe depend on how Missouri's season goes. Honestly, maybe just as important as a win-loss is, like, how does Luther Burden do?
Yeah.
Which seems crazy that there's just so many, like, meta games within the actual football game here.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think the best possible thing outside of Missouri just winning all their games is Luther Burden just blowing up the season and just continuing to roll in the NIL opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with you. I think I'd put it at probably 60% Missouri right now.
Okay, I'm looking forward to watching on the internet with the hats in front of him. So then Williams Nwaneri, and I dug into his recruitment a little bit more recently just because Missouri all of a sudden is squarely in the mix, according to all the rumors and even non-rumors, basically.
Yeah. I mean, you have like actual recruiting analysts coming out and just saying, I would not be surprised if Missouri lands these guys. Like, they're just being that candid about Missouri's push in the last few weeks.
Who knows? Maybe that's coming from the Missouri side of things, and they're letting it be known that they feel good about it, and that's what people are reporting on. It's hard to imagine that the players' camps are letting too much out, but the recruitment is hot and heavy for Nwaneri, and I was looking at Missouri's all-time recruiting rankings on 24/7 Sports. If he committed to Missouri, he would be the second highest rated player behind only DGB to commit to Mizzou. Ryan Wingo would be fourth or fifth, depending on if we got Nwaneri also.
That's a pretty good little haul there for the same season.
Yeah,
potentially.
that would be incredible. And I can't get over the fact that it's hard for me to believe that Missouri is actually in on like the number one defensive end, like a defensive lineman recruit that is, being pursued by everyone.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been dreaming of.
Top 3 recruit nationally. Is he third?
Well, according to 24/7, he's third. According to On3, he's the number 1 overall player in his class.
Of any position.
Yeah. And there was a news story that I was reading talking about how that's the first time any player in the Kansas City metro area has risen to number 1 overall on any of the recruiting sites.
Not surprising, man. He looks like a grown man out there.
I read his coach said he's up to 6'6", 260.
Good Lord. Still has a year to play, too.
Yeah. And he's like, I was reading several different articles talking about sort of how he projects to the next level, to the college level. And they're talking about him being like this stand-up defensive end, edge rusher. And that's just insane size to be coming off the edge like that. And his high school coach said he runs a 4.6 40.
It's like inhuman stuff for like a 17-year-old.
That's the kind of stuff that'll make you the number 1 player in the country.
Yeah. That's like, yeah, he could go to the NFL Combine with some of those measurables and like raise eyebrows.
Seriously. I was also reading a Kansas City Star article written by Lawrence Price that was published recently. And that's where I was getting some of this information from the coach. But he did not play football his freshman year of high school and was starting defensive end halfway through his sophomore season at Lee Summit North.
It's wild.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think I didn't really want to delve too deep into his profile because I was like, I don't want to get attached to him.
Yeah.
And then
have to play
if
against
Missouri
him.
doesn't have a chance.
Yeah.
And now Missouri seemingly has a legitimate chance. So
yeah, 100%.
I'm letting myself get excited.
Yeah, Missouri has just been working so hard in the recruiting game in the last few weeks, and it's just insane how a month or two ago we were just thinking like, man, what are we doing on the recruiting trail right now? We have like 3 commits. There's no news. It's just the dry as the Sahara out here.
They weren't even hyping up that recruiting event.
It was so quiet, and for the whole spring, and now all of a sudden it's just going crazy.
Yeah, nonstop.
I like this a little bit better.
Yeah, this is more fun. Are you letting yourself get excited about Nwaneri?
I am, because
number 1 player in the country.
I have absolutely no control, and at this point there's really no reason not to just let it loose. And I think Missouri's right there, and honestly, just getting one of these 3 players that we're talking about right now would be unprecedented almost for Missouri. And so having a chance at 2, maybe all 3 of them is unbelievable. And I don't know, man, that's just what makes you kind of fall in love with Drinkwitz, Like it's been a bumpy road. It's been a frustrating up and down little experience here, but this is why he's here, because he can sell the program like nobody else can. And he's doing it really well right now.
Yeah, so okay. Give me your official prediction. It seems like we're down to Missouri, Oklahoma, and Georgia.
It does seem like those are the final 3. Honestly, I think Georgia's on the outside looking in.
Okay.
I think it's pretty much between Missouri and Oklahoma. It feels like Oklahoma's been the leader for a really long time, and Missouri's been needing to make up ground. But at this point, it really appears like they've done that, and it's a pretty neck and neck race right now.
And he had mentioned that he was going to make his decision August 1st, which is next week.
Right.
But now it's being reported that that's getting pushed back.
Yeah.
There was talk of maybe August 7th. Yep. I think I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah,
but
I'm not
now,
even sure there's like a date set in stone now. So I fully expected him to commit to Oklahoma on August 1st, but I think things have changed, and he's kind of rethinking his options, and I think he's rethinking Missouri. And so the longer this gets pushed back, I think the better it probably is. Or at least the fact that it's getting pushed back at all, I think is a good sign.
So
I don't want it to go too far back.
Yeah, do we have any kind of timeline here? Are we thinking?
I still think it's probably August or September that he commits.
Okay.
But I don't. Who knows? If there's been an actual date announced, then let us know. But as far as I know, I don't think anything's in there.
If I'm making my official prediction for Ryan Wingo to come to Missouri, I don't think I can get too greedy here. I think just for my sanity, I'm going to still think...
Going to hedge a little bit?
Yeah, I think until a crystal ball pops up in Mizzou's favor, I'm just going to assume it's Oklahoma and then be pleasantly surprised.
That's fair. That's totally fair. And that's probably smart. I think if I had to rank them in likelihood to go to Mizzou, I think Wingo is slightly ahead of Nwaneri. But I think Missouri's going to end up with both of them, man.
Okay.
I think they're going to end up with both of them, and I really hope that things don't spiral, because it feels like we're on top of the world right now. But in recruiting, anything can change instantly. So we feel great right now. Who knows how we'll feel a week or two from now?
We've talked previously about Missouri's class ranking and how it hasn't looked good for a while. We got a couple 4 stars. We got some more names on the board. That's bumped us up quite a bit. I was trying to play around with 24/7 Sports Class Calculator, where you can just create a recruiting class basically out of thin air. And when I added Nwaneri, Wingo, and McClellan, if I added all 3 of them to Missouri's 2024 recruiting class, and then I got the total number of recruits up to 20, I just filled it in with some 3-star, a few unranked guys just to try to keep it realistic. All 3 of them bumped Missouri up to 23rd in the country in a recruiting class. And it is that's maybe a little underwhelming to hear at first. You'd think 2 5-star guys.
There's 22 programs that have done better than us.
Right, exactly. Now, again, I was figuring in some, 3-star, fringe 3-star guys to sort of fill in the numbers there. But
you're hedging again?
Exactly. And I feel like that's a typical Mizzou recruiting class to have the bottom end of the rankings. Now, some of those guys develop well and turn into really nice players, but they don't do a whole lot for the rankings. And if I'm looking at the list again, it's just kind of insane. These schools are pulling in 5 to 10 4-star players, and 2 5-stars and 3 4-stars just gets you kind of right there, fringe top 25, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, how many 5-star players are there in a class? Probably 20, 15, 20?
Yeah, exactly.
They got to go somewhere, I guess.
Right. And, 3 of them are going to Georgia, 4 of them are going to Ohio State, 2 of them are going to Florida, 3 of them are going to Alabama. So that's
Typical.
half of all the 5-stars are going to 4 schools. So, yeah. And those schools already have, Michigan already has 26 commits, 19 4-star players committed.
Probably only 12 of those players are going to make an impact at any point. Maybe not even that.
Right, exactly. They'll make an impact at,
Bowling Green.
Yeah. They'll drop down to
Bowling Green just catching strays.
I feel like those players are catching strays.
Yeah.
They'll transfer to Illinois
Yeah.
and compete.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll transfer to Missouri. Hey, we'll take them. We'll take them. You don't want them?
We want them.
Okay. So, I don't know. I'm just trying to put it into perspective there a little bit. But to put it in perspective the other direction, top 25 recruiting class is not something that Missouri's used to.
No.
We've gotten a little more used to it under Drinkwitz, but still. Now, I also want to mention, okay, let's imagine Williams, Nwaneri, sometime in August or September, commits to the Missouri Tigers. And let's say that commitment sticks through signing day. What does that do to the result on the field this year in terms of Eli Drinkwitz and his future? landing the number one player in the country, does that buy you another season no matter what, basically?
Automatically no, but probably yeah. Yeah, I think it does. Because I mean, I don't think this team has less than 5 wins in them. Like that's the floor, right?
Yeah,
Is that
I
the
think
floor?
so. I think so.
5 wins.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say he goes 5-7. That's a disappointing season.
For sure.
But you got a great recruiting class coming in. You got a lot of talent on the roster. You got great stuff going with Luther Burden, assuming.
Yeah.
Let's run it back one more time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where I'm at. I mean, if
Again, there's a lot of nuance to that.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
they're going 5-7, probably had some pretty serious injuries or whatever.
right.
You know,
And
there's maybe a point where we're like, well, yeah, we only won 5 games, but this happened, and we can justify it. Maybe.
yeah. And a lot of that's going to be tied to whatever happens with the quarterback situation.
Yeah. But that's the worst case scenario in my mind, and I really don't see this team performing badly enough for us to be like, well, got to fire coach, even though we're bringing in all 2 5-star players. Like,
Yeah. Even one. Yeah.
even one.
Yeah, I mean, it would take 5-7 with a ton of mismanagement and a recruiting class in the 40s or 50s. It would take missing on all these guys and replacing them with 3-star commits to even get me on board with thinking about moving on, honestly.
Yep. Can't say he's not trying.
Yeah.
Which you would think that would never be a problem in college sports, but I think we've maybe witnessed that ourselves with maybe not trying is very hard
Yeah.
in recruiting.
Yeah. Now, eventually, obviously, got to get some wins. And we even all that being said, we think that this year we're going to see some wins unless disaster strikes. Let's just win a bunch of games and sign 2 5-star guys.
I agree.
Is that allowed?
That's allowed. Outside of quarterback, what if you could pick any position to land a 5-star player? What would it be?
I mean, defensive end is up there.
Yeah. I mean, you get a special player on the edge like that, there might not be a more impactful position on the field outside of quarterback.
Yeah, I'm looking at the list of who actually are the 5-star players in 2024. And obviously, we've got a quarterback up there. We've got some wide receivers. But yeah, there's like only maybe 4 or 5 defensive linemen considered 5-star players.
I mean, that's how the NFL is too, at least in this day and age. Like, you see talented defensive ends get pushed up way in the draft, like very high, if they feel like they can be difference makers. That's just so valuable. And trust me, I would love to have 4 and 5-star wide receivers, and they make a huge difference too. But yeah, honestly, I'm probably taking the offensive or defensive alignment.
That's what I was gonna say. You're rushing the quarterback, protecting the quarterback. That's probably where I want my best players to be. Everything else gets easier if you're doing those things well.
Yep.
Oh man, now I'm getting excited. Yeah, I gotta mention though, all the stuff on Twitter has been fantastic. All the excitement. Shout out friend of the show, Pack the Zoo on Twitter. He's got it popping. He's
making edits.
Follow Pack the Zoo on Twitter to get all the latest recruiting.
Oh my God.
Updates.
I forgot to mention this.
Yeah.
I saw the greatest Twitter interaction of all time. I guess it was last night.
Yeah.
Chase Daniel said, "What do you
I've
guys?"
heard of him.
You've heard of Chase Daniel?
Yeah.
He said, "What do you guys want to see on here? I'm about to get super active on Twitter."
Like first of all, let me stop right there.
He said Twitter, actually.
Chase, you maybe picked a bad time to like try to really get
really
into
weird time.
Yeah. But yeah,
It's
go ahead.
X now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He's getting super involved in X.com.
Yeah. Anyways, Chase Daniel, what do you guys want to see on here? I'm about to get super active on Twitter. Brett Sarver. I know you might not know who Chase Daniel is, but you definitely know who Brett Sarver is.
Absolutely. Face of Mizzou Twitter.
He says, "I'd like to see you tweet #Wingo to the zoo right now."
Yeah.
And he did. He said, #Wingo to the zoo.
Absolutely.
And there's just nothing greater than seeing those two special goats interact and for the good of Missouri recruiting.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it didn't occur to me. It just seemed so natural to me when I saw it.
Yeah.
I was like, this is
At first, I had to make sure it was actually Brett Sarver because everybody wants to be Brett Sarver.
True.
And in a way, we all are just Brett Sarver.
true.
One collective consciousness.
True.
But that was the real him. That was the real Brett.
Yeah.
And that was the real Chase Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes perfect sense to me. You got the cream of the crop there, interacting with each other.
Let's see if it works.
Yeah, what were we talking about? Twitter. Yeah, it's been fun following Mizzou recruiting on Twitter lately. X.
And then Terry responded to my tweet and said,
No.
Yeah, he said, he probably doesn't know who Wingo is. That's what Terry said. That's okay. We can move on.
We know everybody knows who Terry is. Yeah, let me see where do I have anything here? Twitter. Signing day is coming up. Let's see. So Ryan Wingo, we're not going to know his decision until signing day.
Correct.
Now, I did think it was interesting. I was looking more on the NIL stuff, and I did want to mention, just to clarify something, that the new Missouri law for NIL that allows players to get paid as of signing day, that is the February signing day, not the December early signing period. So
that affects things by a couple months, maybe.
Yeah.
Get your money a couple months later than we originally thought.
And I also saw that Missouri is, that also California and Arkansas have the ability to distribute NIL funds at that same February signing date.
That's fine because everybody wants to jump in on this. At this point, everybody's trying to be progressive with this now.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's going to happen eventually, as long as we can just get through this recruiting cycle. Just,
with a leg up.
Yes. Get our guys here, and then it's back to how it was. That's fine. If that can land us a 5-star or 2, we'll take it.
Now, NIL was in the news today because the United States Senate is getting involved.
Old Tommy.
Tommy Tuberville and Joe Manchin. Tommy Tuberville, I'm assuming he's a senator in Alabama, and Joe Manchin, senator from West Virginia, introduced college sports bill to standardize NIL rules and regulate collectives. This is according to the Associated Press. Do you have any opinion on Joe Manchin or Tommy Tuberville, first of all?
No.
No opinion from Kyle?
No. Just a couple of guys that want the best for sports.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, I wanted to just give you
Tommy Tuberville was the coach at Auburn.
Yeah.
Just want to throw that out there.
He's a football coach turned United States senator. So he also coached at Texas Tech, and I was just reading, for no reason whatsoever, I was reading about the fact that he left Texas Tech in the middle of his contract to take a better paying job at Cincinnati when he was head coach there. So not related to anything, but so they're introducing a college sports bill that would require athletes to disclose how much money they make from NIL. It would regulate collectives and put restrictions on when players can transfer. So that is obviously a meaty bill that very much has to do with some of the stuff Missouri's been doing and college football as a whole. It is has Republicans and Democrats on board, and
It's bipartisan.
it is bipartisan. Only the best things are bipartisan. So it says they've been gathering feedback from college sports stakeholders for months. So just anybody that has, they didn't talk to us, but I'm sure they're talking to the media. I'm sure they're talking to a lot of businesses that are interested in NIL the situation there. And I'm going to be honest with you. These guys don't have anything to say about this that's worth anything. I mean, just vague nonsense from these two. Joe Manchin says, our bipartisan legislation strikes a balance between protecting the rights of student athletes and maintaining the integrity of college sports. What does that even mean?
He's trying to slow down the transfer portal, basically.
Well, that's the biggest thing that I don't understand how it has anything to do with NIL. Maybe you can help me fill in the gap there. But one of the parts of this proposed bill would require athletes to complete 3 years of academic eligibility before being able to switch schools and immediately compete.
It has nothing to do with NIL.
I guess if I'm trying to connect it, I mean, the only thing that serves is like people who, you know, spend some money on player promotion and then they go to a different school.
Yeah.
And why do we care what they think?
Cameron, why do United States senators want to control the NCAA transfer portal?
I don't know.
You don't have an answer for me?
I mean, I think it's got to be just like, you know, not. There are interested parties here that have a lot of money on the line, potentially investing in some of these student athletes, and they don't want to see their money, you know, go up in smoke if they transfer to another school, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a strange bill. I don't think anything will happen. I really don't see this making an impact whatsoever.
This version of the bill, I think,
Right.
is going nowhere.
The transfer portal stuff, there's just no chance.
Yeah, I agree. Now, one thing that I thought was interesting, this bill, a good part of it, it would require schools to fund long-term health care for their athletes.
Really?
No details on that, but I guess I could read the bill to find out what exactly they mean there. So I think that should already be a thing. So let's just pass that separately if we want to. So this article is just talking about how the NCAA loosened their transfer rules in recent years. And it says the combination of relaxed transfer rules and the NCAA lifting its ban on athletes being able to monetize their fame has led to an increase in player movement and concerns about NIL being used as an impermissible inducement. I don't know. I just think that
I mean,
it's hard to wade through any of this because it's like everybody involved is just choosing to ignore the fact that players were just getting paid under the table previously. And it's like we don't take that into account when we're wading through all of this.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to make of it, really.
Yeah, it's a complicated mess, and I don't know that this is doing anything to solve it, but I don't know. I don't know what the future of NIL looks like. I know they're going to have to probably rein it in some ways, but I don't think this is it, man.
Yeah, and it is, I don't know, it is funny seeing Missouri be the one that like other states are pointing to and being like, hey,
we want that.
Or like stop them from doing that. Or, you know, I'm imagining some athletic departments are like looking at their situation with their state politics or something and being like, I don't think we are going to be able to get anything done here. So then the next best option is we need to make sure nobody else is doing this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. I really do feel like people probably already didn't like Coach Drinkwitz, but they maybe hate him even more now. I don't know.
Yeah. From
that he's pushing the limits with this kind of stuff.
Representatives from other institutions.
Yeah, if it's going to be insanity, you might as well use it to your favor, I guess.
I was reading a CBS Sports article that was talking about the if Congress is trying to, like, as a whole, do anything here. This article was speculating that if your school has been like heavily sanctioned by the NCAA in recent years, because the Congress is trying to like partner with NCAA to like make something happen here. And they were speculating that if your school has been subjected to heavy sanctions because of violations in recent years, that your like representatives are just going to be like, no, we're not going to cooperate because we don't like the NCAA. I could actually see that being true of Missouri potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, the NCAA hasn't exactly been a friend of Missouri.
And they've been so quiet about NIL and everything. It really seems like they've been playing, you know, on their heels this whole time trying to, what exactly is going on? I mean, even
just let them do it.
Years ago with like when the transfer stuff changed, it definitely seemed like the NCAA was like, all right, like everybody's mad at us here.
Yeah.
Here's some pro player stuff.
They do seem to have really folded to the pressure more in the last couple of years than they ever have in the past.
Maybe this feels like an effort to try to like grab some of that power back, maybe.
Maybe.
I guess partnering with the United States Congress is one way to do that.
What an absolutely fascinating
Yeah.
concept
Yeah.
that NIL is.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know. At this point, I think it's been a net positive for Missouri,
Yeah, definitely.
but it's total chaos.
Did you know the president of NCAA is his previous job was governor of Massachusetts?
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Just two governing bodies.
You know? Yeah, I don't know. I'm fascinated by all of this stuff. What can I say? So we'll keep tabs on it.
Yeah.
Missouri's going to keep using it to their advantage. I'm trying to see if we had anything else to talk about this week. I think that's pretty much it. Just a recruiting update, and Missouri's going to use that NIL advantage to land a couple 5-stars, win 8 or 9 or 10 games this year. Drink will be the head coach forever.
I'd take that.
Sounds good to me. All right, I think that's it. So, special thank you to our Patreon supporters at the $10 level and above: Britt Treese, Brian Smith, Ryan Demore, Tristan, Ben Smith, Parker, Daddy JD, Tim Keens, Tyler Harsel, Brandon Groffalo, Brandon Hanks, Matthew Tilley. Thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. You can find this podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We're on Twitter at Mizzou Sports Pod, and you can email us at MissouriSportsPod@gmail.com.
You can find our t-shirts and stickers on our online shop, MissouriSportsPod.BigCartel.com.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We will see you next week.